guest. So tonight the presentation that I'll be giving is basically preparation and practice from the Better Speakers series. What is preparation and practice to you? Can anyone explain to me? What is preparation and practice? Why we do preparation and practice? Toastmaster Salia, Toastmaster Hassan?
To get good at something.
Okay, to get good at something.
To be ready.
To be ready.
To perform good.
To perform good.
To remove mistakes.
To remove mistakes.
To be the best on something.
To be the best in something. These all things are positive. And tonight, we're going to discuss why preparation and practice before giving a speech is so much important. And in order to develop that skills and expertise, whether you are giving a presentation outside the Toastmasters community or within Toastmasters community, it is very much important to be at the excellence level. Let's move on. Preparation and practice leads to excellence. This quotation has an inner meaning, so let's discuss it. Let's say, for example, there is a person who is not prepared, and there is another person who is prepared, and there is a very thin line between them. That thin line I used to call as an excellence part. Now you might be thinking then, what is excellence part? Let's discuss this excellence part. On social media, on different social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram, you might have seen that picture in which there is a tip of the iceberg, and beneath the water there is another tip of the iceberg. Beneath the water, the tip of the iceberg shows that there are problems, there are challenges, there are failures, and through one person when goes through all this can achieve something above the water, which is the actual tip of the iceberg. People only see the above surface level of the tip of the iceberg, but they don't see that beneath the water there is another tip of the iceberg which is full of failures. That iceberg is something which is called as excellence part. In order to develop excellence part, you need to develop that thin line, and that thin line comes from preparation and practice. Moving on. So before we start about preparation and practice of a speech, I want to divide this whole presentation into three main forums. The first is familiarization, the second is improvement, and the third is conclusion. Let's come up with familiarization. Within familiarization, we have lengthen and audience location, microphone usage, room conditions, visual aids. You might be thinking that we are discussing about preparation and practice of speech, but while these things are coming in the presentation, while you are preparing for a speech, while you are giving a mesmerizing speech in front of the audience, or you are delivering a purposeful speech in front of the audience, you need to make sure that whatever speech you prepare at its best. And in order to prepare your speech, the environment takes one of the biggest factors. So that is why these pointers are very much familiar with the presentation. Let's move on. The first is lengthen and audience location. So let's say, for example, this wonderful location of our Zenith Toastmasters Club. There's a stage. Every one of you can see the stage, right? Can you mention there is a thin line between the stage and the audience? There is. There are seats, there are tables, and there is a lengthen as well. Lengthen, consider that it's an imaginary lengthen, whether it's on your right side or on your left side, but there is. In order to familiarize yourself, in order to develop that preparedness within you, you need to make sure that speech will be perfect on the end, but on the other hand, you need to make sure that the environment should be perfect as well. So for suppose you are coming in Zenith Toastmasters Club, come 20 minutes earlier. Look around this environment. Look around what we're going to do on this stage. Look around where Toastmaster Dafi would be sitting, where Toastmaster Aki would be sitting, pointing. and where the other audience would be sitting. Try to imagine that. Try to imagine that thing and try to implement while you make it the reality. Speaking area. So this is basically the speaking area. Speaking area is very much important in order to move from one place to another place. Since there is a visual aid, I cannot move over there because it can hinder the visibility of the audience. So you need to make sure that you don't need to do that. Audience configuration. Before coming to the Zen and Toastmasters Club, you need to make sure that you have the right theme. You know what is the theme. The theme is Awake the Giant Within. So all the topics and all the discussion would be around this theme. So the audience would be according to this. Whether there are few audience like Toastmaster Amin sitting in the club, and whether there is some other audience, you need to make sure that you have that particular mentality of that audience, and you need to make sure that your speech should be for them. The third is stage location of platform steps or ramp. There are two things in this point. The first is the audience to speaker interaction, the audience to speaker movement. So if for suppose audience is sitting right in front of me with 8 feet ahead, I need to make sure that I have to go till 7 feet so that they don't feel awkward, they don't feel humiliated. So this is the few things that covers this point. Other than this, stage location should be perfect as well. Whatever audience is sitting in front of you should be seeing you with clear visibility. The second is microphones. Microphones can be used with a group of 100 plus people. So if there is an audience of 100 plus people, you can use microphones. The second is audience over the age of 50. We know that after 50, there are some intricacies that is being developed within the people. So you need to make sure that the microphone should be there if people are within or above 50. The third is forward acoustics. So sometimes environment plays a major factor. We see that in this area, when I speak loud, it gets loud. But in some areas and in some environment, when you speak loud, it becomes shallow automatically. And when it becomes shallow, the audience cannot understand anything. So acoustics should be perfect. Voice strain. Your voice should be perfect within the microphone. So if you are using a microphone on your shirt or you are using a handmade microphone, then it should cover the voice strain automatically. Room conditions. Temperature. Temperature should be warm and consistent. Appropriate lighting. So this is very much important, specifically when you are actually preparing yourself in front of the audience. So the lighting should be not on your face so that the audience can see you, but you cannot see the audience. You cannot maintain the eye contact with the audience. So the lighting should be appropriate within the whole environment. Discreet entry for latecomers. So let's say, for example, within this hall, there is a gate beside me, and there is a latecomer who's coming from behind, and he gets my attention, and it breaks my attention with the audience during the presentation. That is absolutely wrong. So within this area, within this surrounding, the gate is over there, and it is perfect. So the audience can see them, and speakers can see them, but the audience cannot see them. So the environment should be okay. Competitive outside noise. You need to make sure that the noise should not be there while you are delivering the presentation. Because obviously, if there will be a noise, then you won't be able to comprehend, or audience will not be able to comprehend your speech. So this should not be there. Visual aids. Visual aids should be located where all can see. So since this room is small, and the visual aid is between the stage, this is perfect. But it could be better if the visual aid should be over there, the projector should be over the right side or the left side, because then speakers will get movement space. So this is very much important. Appropriately sized viewing screen. So if you can see that this is an appropriate size viewing screen and everyone can see, Specifically, 20 to 25 people of an audience can see this appropriately sized viewing screen. The third is handout distribution. So if there are people who are 100 plus within the audience and many of them cannot be able to see the visual aid, then you need to make sure that there should be handouts like we have the handouts of different typical meetings in every session. The second part is rehearsing your speech. Practice ideas, not words. You need to make mental notes of everything you do. Whether you are doing a movement to and fro, whether you are make sure that whatever view comes first in your mind would be structured or whatever there it is. You need to make sure that you always practice ideas and not words. So let's say for example, there's a dog barking in front of me and neighbors are seeing me. If this is what I have written in my speech, you don't need to memorize it. You just need to understand that there is a dog who's barking in front of me and neighbors are seeing me. That's it. The idea should be really simple. It should not be memorized and it should not look robotic or monotonous. Prepare a mental draft of the speech. In order to prepare a mental draft of this speech, it should be a funnel model. The first funnel, the opening funnel should be get 4 ideas on board. After getting 4 ideas on board, make 3 categories of it. After getting 3 categories of it, make 2 deliverables in front of the audience. And after getting 2 deliverables in front of the audience, make 1 conclusion of everything. This should be the funnel approach while preparing a mental draft of your speech. Finish each rehearsal session. So let's talk about the rehearsal session. While you prepare a speech, the first rehearsal session should be with yourself. You are standing in front of the mirror and rehearsing whatever comes in your mind or whatever mental draft you have prepared. After being aced at it, you need to make sure that there should be some co-workers or colleagues or friends or family that you should be rehearsing with them. And after acing that as well, you are perfect to give your presentation in front of the audience. Let's move on. Improving your speech. Add improvements gradually. So, there are different feedback loops. One of your mentors told you that you need to work on your voice modulation, and the other mentor told you that you need to work on your body language. So there are basically 2 feedbacks that you have. You need to make sure that there should be only 1 feedback in your next speech and the other feedback in the other speech. And then you need to make sure that all the feedback that you have should be in your third speech. So it will be added gradually. Arrange for feedback. You need to make sure that within the audience there would be your coaches, your mentors, and they should be there in front of you in order to improve yourself and in order to develop that feedback. Extra considerations. Provide an introduction. While giving a speech, you need to make sure that you gave your introduction. Whenever you give your introduction, you are making sure that whatever audience is in front of you, they know you. And they know you after that knowing, you need to make sure that you need to connect with that audience. So knowing part is very important in order to connect with the audience, and it can only be done through the introduction. Prepare yourself physically. While preparing, you need to make sure that whatever mental notes that you have, that should be physical. So, let's say for example, you are preparing for a speech for a 4-minute session in front of a hostile audience, and your body language is very energetic. While your body language is very energetic, but the audience is hostile, you need to make sure that whatever hostile audience that you have, you need to have your body language to be calm and composed. Because if you are not calm and composed at that point in time, then the question that you will have will energize you more. Have a mental rehearsal. So as I said, the funnel approach, it is the same as the mental rehearsal. Conclusion. Good luck happens when preparedness meets opportunity. Good luck in our culture is a sign of good vibe. And good vibe can only come through preparedness. Whatever you do in your life, whether there is a speech, whether there is a presentation, whether you are preparing yourself to start your own business, or whatever it is, preparation is very important. And in the end, I just want to say one thing as well. That particular thing is preparation can only take you far. And after that, you need to take a few leaps of faith. Over to you, Toastmaster.